Exposed, a soldier. His K-9 discovered an incredible secret after hearing a girl's heartbreaking fears. Jake trotted through the hollowed streets of his hometown, the sun casting a weary glow on the faded storefronts. Once vibrant and alive, the town lay draped under a heavy, gray blanket of despair. With Max, his loyal K-9 by his side, Jake felt an aching weight in his chest. This place was supposed to be a refuge, but it felt like a ghost town. As he patrolled the cracked sidewalks, lost in thought, a child's voice cut through the silence. "What if we lose our home, Mommy?" It was a tiny, trembling sound, layered with the desperation and innocence of youth. Jake turned his attention toward a small playground just a stone's throw away. There, he spotted young Lily, a girl with wild, unkempt hair and tear-brimmed eyes. She spoke with a raw vulnerability that tugged fiercely at his heart. Without thinking, he approached. "Hey there, kiddo." Jake knelt beside her, Max wagging his tail, sensing the palpable sadness. "What is going on?" Her gaze met his, wide-eyed and trembling. "They say we have to leave, the landlords want to kick us out. 'Cause they can make more money. What will we do?" The quiver in her voice sent shivers down his spine. In that moment, the memories of war swirled in his mind, the fight for family, for home, for justice. Here was another battle waiting to be fought. Jake learned that Lily's family was facing eviction, sacrificed on the altar of greed. As he listened, anger bubbled within him, igniting a profound desire to defend what was right. "I promise, I won't let that happen," he whispered, a fierce determination glinting in his eyes. Jake remembered what he had fought for overseas, and it was time to fight again. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. With renewed purpose, Jake sprang into action. He organized a fundraiser, the word spreading like wildfire through the town. Old and young, faces once lined with sorrow now lit up with hope. Collectively, they stood up with courage, fueled by an indignant spirit inspired by the children, their futures at stake. Yet, as the support soared, so did the pushback. The wealthy landlords, threatened by this grassroots movement, retaliated with a venom that seeped through the town's veins. Jake's heart raced as he confronted not just the villains of this tale, but his own doubts. He stood at the center of a brewing storm, battling for his community, sharing their pain and their dreams. The stakes escalated. He uncovered deceit woven into the eviction notices, an insidious plot threatening the people of his hometown. A tangle of lies that claimed homes and shattered lives. As Jake grappled with the mounting pressure, he felt the weight of responsibility settle heavy on his shoulders. Would the town unite against injustice, or would they be crushed beneath the heel of greed? Everything hinged on this fight, a whirlwind of emotions clashing as Jake prepared for the event that could change everything. The question loomed large: how far could he go to expose the hidden truth? Hope flickered against the backdrop of despair, igniting a fierce determination that echoed in his chest, leaving readers breathless, waiting to see what happens next. The community center buzzed with energy, filled to the brim with families gathered for Jake's fundraiser. The air was thick with anticipation, laughter mingling with the scent of freshly baked goods. Children ran around, their giggles a sweet sound in the otherwise troubled atmosphere. But even as the joy unfolded, tension danced around Jake like a shadow, reminding him of the weighty battle ahead. "Let us get this started," Jake called out, standing at the front of the room with Max by his side, his loyal companion's steady presence giving him strength. The attendees looked up, their faces a mix of hope and dependence. He was their soldier now, fighting a different kind of war, one that threatened their very homes. As he stepped to the microphone, a hush fell over the crowd. "Thank you all for showing up today," he began. The words felt heavy in his throat. We're here to support families like Lily S., to stand against the unfairness that's trying to push them out of their homes. Together, we can make a difference." A ripple of applause filled the room, encouragement thriving on unity. Jake looked into the sea of faces, some resigned, others hopeful. Their stories echoed in his mind, resonating in a way that felt personal. Every one of them feared what losing their homes might mean, the displacement, the uncertainty, the loss of community. He saw Lily's dimpled smile gleaming in the crowd and felt a surge of determination. "But we can fight back," he declared, his voice rising. "We have power when we stand together against greed." The room erupted in cheers, and for a moment, it felt like the oppressive weight of dread might lift, but Jake's heart raced as he sensed the tension growing outside. Hushed whispers spread like wildfire among the guests, and a mother clutched her child tightly, worry etched across her brow. He turned to see the landlord's representatives, men in sharp suits, looking down their noses at the gathering. Their presence sent an icy shiver through the warmth of the celebration. "Jake!" hollered an older man from the back, "are we really taking them on? Can we actually win this fight?" Jake clenched his fists, feeling the gaze of the crowd heavy on him. "Yes," he replied firmly, "if we band together, we can show them we're not just numbers on a piece of paper. We're families. We're community." Cheers erupted again, but the satisfaction felt fleeting. Even as optimism filled the space, Jake couldn't shake the sense that something dark loomed ahead. As the event rolled on, people shared stories of their battles, moments of grief and resilience intertwining. Jake recorded every detail, pure inspiration igniting within him. Yet in the back of his mind, nagging doubts poked relentlessly as they buoyed their spirits. Now, what would happen when the landlord struck back, with the sun setting, casting long shadows against the walls of the center? Jake's excitement turned into apprehension. He could sense the impending storm. "Max," he said softly, as he stroked his companion's fur, "what do you think? Are we ready for what's coming?" Max tilted his head, as if to say, "We'll figure it out." Just then, a woman burst through the doors, panic etched on her face. "Jake! You need to see this." The blood drained from his face as he registered the urgency in her voice. What could possibly be happening now? The moment of truth drew near, and his heart raced painfully in his chest. He needed to find out what lay ahead, and quickly. What did she see? Would it be the information that could change everything, or something far worse? The woman gasped for breath, her eyes wide as she scanned the room covered in activity. "Jake, it's about the landlords," she blurted out, glancing back as if expecting them to walk in at any moment. "There's something you need to know, something big." Jake's stomach twisted into knots. "What is it?" he asked, his voice steadier than he felt. The crowd, once vibrant with laughter and conversation, hushed out of concern. All eyes swiftly turned to the woman, their collective anxiety palpable. "Some of them are there planning to evict families tonight," she exclaimed, her voice rising with urgency. "They have agents out there, ready to force people out. No warnings, no notice." Gasps echoed through the community center, a wave of dread washing over the audience. Jake felt the weight of the news settle like a stone in his chest. "Tonight?" he repeated, disbelief coloring his tone. "Why would they strike now?" "They're trying to intimidate you all," she explained. "They think if they can scare people enough, you'll back down and not fight it. They don't want you standing together." Jake's mind raced, piecing together the ramifications. Families were not just facing the threat of eviction, they were facing a betrayal of trust at the hands of those who were supposed to support them. He knew he had to act, but how? "Listen, everyone," Jake called out, stepping back up to the microphone. "We're not going to let this happen." The spark of defiance ignited in him once more, fueled by the determination that had been propelling him this entire evening. "We need to stand together, but we need to be smart about it. This isn't just about showing up, it's about protecting each other." The crowd's fear began to morph into a collective energy, a movement in the making. Stunned whispers turned into murmurs of solidarity, murmurs that quickly grew into shouts of encouragement. "We've got to reinforce our defenses," someone shouted. Jake nodded, adrenaline coursing through his veins. "Right. Let us spread the word we need a community watch. Gather our strength overnight, make sure nobody is alone." People began to nod in agreement, voices rising with plans and actions. There was something electric in the air, an urgency that felt both frightening and invigorating. This was no longer just a fundraiser, it was a call to arms. But as the excitement began to brew, he couldn't ignore the nagging fear still circling above him like a storm cloud. What if the landlords were ready for this? What if they struck harder this time? "Jake!" The woman interrupted his thoughts. What if they hurt someone? What if he put a hand on her shoulder? "We'll protect each other. We have to believe that." Outside, shadows lurked, figures moving purposefully near the entrance, eyes peering through the windows. The crowd's energy shifted, tension tightening like a drum. "Jake," Max nudged him, sensing his distress. Jake knelt next to his companion, looking into the concerned eyes that always seemed to read him so well. "You're right, boy. We need to stay focused. Let us gather our resources and take this one step at a time." Before he could stand, someone shouted, "Are the landlords here?" Jake's heart raced as he looked toward the door. The figures outlined in the dusk were unmistakable. The intimidation tactics were in full swing. A group of men stood just outside, surveying the crowd with cold, calculating arrogance. "We need to act now," Jake shouted, feeling the conviction swell. "This isn't just about keeping our homes, it's about standing tall against injustice." The challenge echoed through the community center. In that moment, it felt as if their resolve strengthened with each heartbeat. As the crowd organized and strategized, Jake's mind raced through possibilities. Would they find a way to outsmart the landlords? Could they form the stronghold needed to safeguard their homes? Just then, a voice broke through the chatter. "And what if we discover their next move?" Jake turned sharply toward the speaker, knowing that this could very well be the key to winning the war before it escalated. What if they could uncover the truth behind the landlord's shadowy plans? But where would that lead them? And at what cost? An uneasy silence settled over the room as the crowd processed the weight of the woman's words. Jake felt the temperature drop, the tension tightening like a vice around him. Time seemed to hang suspended, waiting for someone to gamble on a response. He took a deep breath, trying to gather his scattered thoughts. "We can't wait for them to make their move," he said, urgency lining his voice. "We need to find out what they're planning and get ahead of it. It's not just about protecting our homes, it's about knowing what's coming and being prepared to fight back." Max, ever practical, chimed in. "What if we set up a network? We can assign people to keep watch on the streets, check on the neighbors, and maybe even confront them if we have to." His eyes sparkled with the fierce hope that this was their moment to take a stand. "That's good," Jake nodded. "But we also need some information. If we know their tactics, we can defend ourselves better." He turned to scan the still uneasy faces in the room, each bearing scars of worry. Who knows their ways? Is there anyone who has dealt with these landlords before? Someone from the back raised a hand, an older man with a graying beard. "I used to work for one of them," he said, his voice shaking slightly. "I know how they operate. I could help with some inside information." "Perfect!" Jake exclaimed, a flicker of relief sparking in his chest. They had a start, a glimmer of hope amidst the haze. "Let us gather whatever intel we can get. We need to find out who's on their team, how they plan to intimidate us, and what we can do to stop them." As plans began forming, the once thick atmosphere of despair lightened just a little. They began to work together, voices overlapping in a cascade of ideas and strategies. Jake felt the pulse of community surge, neighbors exchanging phone numbers, neighbors demanding that everyone in the area be ready, assigned watch responsibilities to keep everyone safe. But amidst it all, Jake couldn't shake the gnawing anxiety in his gut. What made this night different? Why did they feel particularly brazen? Were their tactics ramping up because they sensed the resolve doubling? An unexpected knock at the door sent waves of tension rippling through the room. Jake's gut twisted again. "Everyone stay quiet," he instructed, heart racing, eyes darting toward the sound. Silence enveloped them, thick and suffocating. The knock came again, more insistent this time. Fear gripped him momentarily as he considered the worst: a sneak attack, a betrayal. He approached the door cautiously, glancing back at the group. "Stay right here," he whispered, with one last deep breath. Jake swung the door open, only to be met by an average-height woman, her brow furrowed with worry. "Please, let me in," she pleaded, glancing nervously behind her. "I'm not like the others. I need to tell you something important." Jake hesitated, unsure whether to trust her. But the distressed look in her eyes drew him closer, compelling him to listen, yet leaving him on edge. "Please, I swear, you're in danger. You don't know the whole story," she urged, voice trembling. "Who are you?" Jake asked, the crowd now leaning in, listening intently. "I'm one of the landlord's assistants," she confessed, barely above a whisper. "I've seen their lists and I can tell you who they're targeting next." The shock swept through the room, faces going pale as fear clashed with hope. Would this stranger provide the keys to their survival? But could they trust her? And if they did, what actions could they take next to ensure everyone was safe? The atmosphere in the room shifted again, the weight of the woman's revelation heavy in the air. Jake felt a mix of dread and a spark of determination flickering in his chest. He took a step back and let the door rest ajar, allowing a greater glimpse of the woman who had just planted a seed of both terror and hope. "Why are you telling us this?" Someone from the crowd broke the silence. A young man with a determined expression stepped forward, clearly skeptical of the intruder. "What's in it for you?" "I don't want to be part of this anymore," she said, her voice shaking but gaining strength. "I grew up in this neighborhood. I've watched them bully people out of their homes. I never thought I'd be helping them, until now. But I can't live with myself knowing what's coming." She took a deep breath, eyes darting nervously. "They have a list. They already know who they want to evict next." Jake leaned forward, his heart racing. "Who? Can you tell us?" "They're targeting the families that have been here the longest," she continued, her voice growing steadier. "Older folks, single parents. They see them as easy targets. They think if they make it tough enough, people will just give up and leave." Worry rippled through the room. Jake glanced at each face, reading the fear and outrage in their expressions. "We can't let this happen. We need to protect each other," he said, finding his voice. "What do we know about these landlords? How can we fight back?" "They'll use intimidation," she warned, glancing back over her shoulder nervously. "You have to be vigilant. They'll knock on doors, harass you about rent, make threats. But they're not invincible. They rely on fear." "What do we need to do?" Max asked, moving to stand next to Jake, pointing at the woman to show their united front. "Start organizing. When they come, you have to stand together. If they see you are united, they might think twice," she said. "I can help gather information. I have access to their meetings, any changes they're planning. But I need something in return: your commitment that you won't let them bulldoze you." Jake nodded, feeling a rush of adrenaline. "We can do that. If you're willing to help, we'll protect each other." Suddenly, the tension peaked when another knock echoed through the hallway, harsher this time. The crowd tensed up, hearts racing as they exchanged worried glances. "Everyone stay quiet again," Jake hissed, adrenaline flooding his system. He glanced back at the woman, who almost looked pale with fear. "What if they're here?" she whispered, eyes wide. "It could be them," Max suggested nervously, gripping the back of the chair. "Or it could be someone who needs our help," Jake refuted, trying to sound braver than he felt. "I'll check." As he crept to the door, every nerve in him was alive, the air thick with anxiety. Heart pounding, he held his breath and swung it open just a crack. On the other side stood a familiar face, Sarah, one of the single mothers from the neighborhood, her eyes wide and filled with urgency. "Jake!" she gasped, "I overheard them. They're coming for us tonight." Shock reverberated through the group. The initial confidence from the woman's intel started to falter as panic seeped back in. They needed to act fast, but at what cost? Everyone had become prey to this fight that loomed closer, and the threat didn't just hover over their heads, it was descending. "Jake, we have to do something now." Sarah's voice trembled, bringing everyone back into focus, scanning the tense atmosphere. "Gather everyone. We're organizing defense," he shouted. "This is it. We face them together." Outside the door, shadows loomed ominously, and Jake could feel the weight of his heart racing. The night was just beginning, and the battle would forge their destinies in ways none could imagine. As they prepared for the imminent showdown, Jake couldn't shake the chilling thought, would fighting back only put them further in danger? What truly awaited them in the dark? Jake's heart raced as he turned back to the group, drawing them in closer. "We need to act smart," he said, his voice strong but steady. "We won't win just by standing here. We have to be ready. Stay quiet and prepare. We know they might come with their threats. But if we stand united, we might just turn their fear against them." As they shared frantic whispers, a plan began to take shape. Max moved towards the window, peering through the grimy glass. "We can block the back entry. If they come around the front, they won't expect anyone at the back." Jake felt a surge of hope wash over him. Families in this room, they were warriors in their own right. Not just single parents and older folks, but brothers, sisters, and friends. They were more than just neighbors, they were a community. The woman who had spoken up before stepped forward again, her breathing slightly more relaxed now. "I can help gather everyone's contact information. If they come, we should have each other on speed dial. We need to know where to go." "Good idea," Jake nodded, rallying the others. "Let us do this. Split into small groups. Feel out the street. Sarah, you stay with me. Max, take half the group and check outside. Everyone else, make sure your phones are charged and this place is ready." As they moved into action, the raw energy of the room shifted. It felt electric, not just with fear, but with purpose. Jake caught Sarah's eye as they made quick preparations. "What did you overhear?" he whispered, trying to gather more information even while they readied themselves. "I heard them talking about a meeting down the block," she said, urgency fueling her words. "They're going to make a move tonight. Something big. I didn't hear all the details, but I know there's a plan in place. Then we'll show them we won't be scared," Jake replied, feeling the fire ignite inside him. He looked around at the faces filled with worry, but also a burgeoning courage. They were ready to fight, even if it meant putting their safety on the line. With the room buzzing, the shadows outside the door seemed to grow threatening. A loud thud against the door signaled their arrival. Jake felt a jolt run through him as he exchanged frantic glances with Sarah. "Are we ready?" he whispered, tension building again in the air like a coiled spring. "Ready as we'll ever be," she murmured. But even as they fortified their stance, Jake could sense the rising tide of anxiety. Another rap came at the door, sharp and demanding. "Open up. We know you're in there." The voice was grating, filled with a rough authority that implied danger. Amid the tumult, he felt a pull within him, a beckoning to do more. Suddenly, in a flash, an idea struck him. No. We won T just sit. We're going out. Before anyone could stop him, Jake turned and made for the side door, adrenaline coursing through him. What if they caught them at their most vulnerable? They needed to confront the threats face to face. As he peered through the slightly open door, every nerve stood alert. A small group stood outside, shadowed figures moving vaguely in the dim light. He could make out one pinpoint, a tall figure, confident and intimidating. "What's the plan?" Sarah said, urgency in her voice, echoing his own racing thoughts. Jake took a deep breath, feeling that moment teeter on the edge of chaos. "We go in with both fists. Together." Just before stepping outside, he caught the woman's eyes one last time. "Stay behind me." With a push, he flung the door open wide. The night air whipped across his face as he stepped forward on the threshold, every heartbeat ringing in his ears. What response awaited them beyond those broken streets? As the confrontation loomed, he couldn't shake the feeling that their battle had just begun. The stakes had been raised higher than ever, and the darkness was inviting them in once more. Jake turned back for a moment, meeting Sarah's gaze. "This isn't just about evictions anymore. It's about taking a stand." And with that, they marched onward, unwittingly stepping into a confrontation that would change everything. In the depths of their struggle lay the beginning of unimaginable revelations, but would they come out intact? The night was thick with tension as Jake stepped fully outside, Sarah right behind him. The cold air whipped around, biting at their skin, but adrenaline surged through them, warming their resolve. The shadows before them solidified into figures, each carrying an air of unease. "Identify yourselves," Jake shouted, the words ringing out over the deafening silence. The group of figures paused, their body language shifting from aggressive to curious, as shadows flickered in the dim light. The tall one, the one Jake had noticed first, stepped forward. He was broad-shouldered, his jaw set in defiance. "You think you're brave? You're just making this harder on yourselves." Jake's heart pounded. The man's voice dripped with an authority that made him feel small. He couldn't show fear. "Not now. This is our home. We won't let you take it from us." A smirk crept across the figure's face, a twisted mix of amusement and menace. "You have no idea what you're up against, kid." The others shifted, glancing at one another, and then at their leader, uncertainty flickering in their eyes. Sarah stepped forward beside Jake, her voice steady. "And you? You think you can bully us into submission? We're not afraid anymore." Their mutual courage flickered like a beacon. Jake could see others from within the building watching, hearts and minds rallying against the encroaching threat. It reminded him of the families inside. They were warriors. But would bravery alone be enough? The tall figure's demeanor shifted, his smile fading as he considered their words. "This will end badly for you. You don't know who you're dealing with." "But you don't know us," Jake said, his voice firm. "We're stronger together than you could imagine." At that moment, Max and several others appeared from around the back corner of the building, flanking Jake and Sarah, creating a united front. "We've got your backs," Max called out, his energy infectious. The competitor's facade broke, revealing a mix of confusion and annoyance. "You think this is a game?" he snapped. "You think a handful of you can stop us?" A surge of hope washed over Jake. The sight of their unity ignited the fire in his heart. "No, it's not a game. But it's a battle we'll fight together when it counts." The atmosphere crackled, tension rising as the two groups faced off, neither willing to bend. It was a standoff, the kind that would ripple through their small community. What would it take to win? "That's cute, but look around," the tall figure sneered, waving a hand at his group. "You're outnumbered." "Maybe," Jake said, muscles tightening. "But we're not alone." As if echoing his thoughts, the door opened further, and the community members stepped out one by one, joining them. Faces filled with determination emerged from the shadows, casting aside their fear. Fire surged through Jake as he caught sight of familiar faces, families, friends, those who believed in something bigger than the threats outside. "We're here to protect what's ours." The tall figure hesitated, his confidence wavering as he took a step back. "This isn't over," he spat, but he began to back away, uncertainty creeping into his eyes. "Then we'll be waiting," Jake called after him, steady and defiant. Each word echoed back to him as the group stood firm, shoulder to shoulder, a wall of resolve, yet that sense of victory was short-lived. With every step the leaders took away, another storm loomed on the horizon. What would be their next move? They had survived this encounter, but Jake felt a deep unease settle in his gut. Did we really win? He questioned, looking at the growing crowd around him. The night was still heavy, the threat still lurked just out of sight. As they settled back into the building, weary but emboldened, Jake knew this was just the beginning of something much larger. What did the future hold? The stakes had risen, and there were answers to be found. The next move was theirs to make, but what would it bring? Would unearthing the truth fuel their fight, or plunge them deeper into darkness? Inside the building, the atmosphere shifted. Jake could feel the eyes of their community on him. They had stood strong together, but now uncertainty began to ripple through the crowd like a breeze stirring the leaves. Jake absorbed their anxious energy, the weight heavy on his chest. "Did you see their faces?" Max broke the silence, laughter bubbling up, though it felt thin and forced. He turned to Jake, eyes wide. "We actually scared them off." Sarah stepped up beside them. "It wasn't just us. It was everyone. We showed them we won't back down." Jake nodded, but his mind was a storm of thoughts. They had pushed back for now, but Jake could see the shadows lingering in the corners of the gathering space. The night was still cloaked in danger, and every boastful word hung in the air, feeling fragile. Did we really stand a chance? Can we trust what comes next? The warmth of victory felt fleeting. Heads nodded in agreement, but the doubts were there, lurking just beneath the surface. He caught sight of Mr. Thompson from 2 houses down, his face a mask of worry as he clutched his wife's hand. Kids darted behind their parents, their innocence shaken by what they had just witnessed. "This isn't over," Jake said softly to Sarah, whose eyes met his with understanding. "We have to prepare for whatever they throw at us next." "I know." Sarah took a breath, her voice steady even as her hands trembled slightly. "But we need to come together, reach out to anyone who can help. We can't face them alone. Are you guys thinking what I'm thinking?" Max's eagerness broke through their shared concern. "We must dig deeper. There's always a bigger picture. What do they want from us?" Jake felt a flicker of hope. The spark needed to ignite their precision and alignment with a purpose. "Right. We need to learn their motives. We can't let fear dictate our actions." The group's posture shifted, both from the realization and the burgeoning unity. They started to talk amongst themselves, ideas circulating like fire in dry brush. Plans began to form, solidifying their resolve. Just then, a voice rang out from the back, trembling yet fierce. It was Lisa, the girl from the sunflower garden. What if their aggression is hiding something even worse? What if they're afraid, too? Are we prepared for the truth? Jake felt a pang in his heart. Her innocence clashed against the grim realities they were facing. "You might be right, Lisa. But we can't ignore what they might do if they see our weakness. We need to find that balance." The room buzzed as more voices joined in. Some argued for caution while others championed offense. Jake could feel the energy coiling tighter with every word, a collective storm brewing as they faced an uncertain horizon. As they planned into the night, sessions of debate turned into strategy, and the stark fear of vulnerability lay bare on the table between them. It wasn't just about surviving anymore, it was about taking control of their future, assembling the pieces to confront the unknown. Finally, they made a pact. Every one of them would work together, no matter the trials that lay ahead. They would become the backbone of their community, explorers of truth, exposing the underbelly of uncertainty lurking just beyond their borders. But as Jake glanced outside into the dark, something caught his eye, a shadow flickering near the edge of the trees. His heartbeat quickened. Was it another threat, or was it someone seeking help? The night whispered secrets, and he could feel it calling him closer. "Guys, wait!" Jake hesitated, heart racing as he glimpsed the silhouette dart behind a bush. "What if we're not the only ones who need help?" Everyone stopped, the air ripe with possibility, the abyss of the unknown pooling right in front of them. Jake let out a breath. "Let us check it out. Together." And with that, they stepped back into the void of darkness, not knowing what awaited them, only that their next move could alter everything. Would they uncover hidden allies or face an even greater threat? Jake led the way, heart thudding in his chest. The darkness around them swallowed their voices, only the crunch of leaves and the rustle of branches marking their passage. Each step deeper into the shadows felt like a leap into the unknown, but he refused to turn back. This could be the moment they needed, a chance to find someone, or something, that could change everything. "Stay close," Jake whispered, glancing back at his friends. Max nodded, eyes wide with excitement mixed with fear, while Sarah's determined expression cut through the gloom, her presence an anchor. "Do you see anything?" Sarah asked, the vulnerability in her voice somehow grounding. "No," Jake admitted, peering into the trees that loomed like dark sentinels around them. "But I know I saw something. It was fast." Just then, Lisa's small voice chimed in. "What if it's a trap? What if they're using it to lure us out?" Jake felt a sting of worry at her words. But they couldn't let fear stop them now. If they wanted to trap us, they wouldn't need a shadow. "Let's stay together, stick to the plan." They moved quietly, tension coiling between them like taut string. As they neared the tree line, the silhouette darted once more, causing everyone to halt. Jake squinted, straining to make out what it was. "Maybe we should make some noise," Max suggested, trying to mask his worry with bravado. "I mean, if it's someone in trouble, they might respond." Before Jake could argue against it, Max called out into the darkness, voice booming, "Hey! Is someone there? We're here to help." Silence fell. "Great. Now we're just going to scare them away," Jake muttered under his breath, frustration growing. But then, just as he believed it was a lost cause, a soft sob broke the stillness. "Help please!" The voice was a weak whisper, trembling with desperation. With a jolt of adrenaline, Jake turned toward the sound. "This way." He sprinted ahead, urging the others to follow. The sobs grew louder, and they soon reached a small clearing lit only by the faint glow of moonlight filtering through the branches. As they stepped into the clearing, their eyes landed on a girl crumpled against a tree, dirt smudged across her face and tears streaked down her cheeks. She looked no older than Lisa, and the fear in her wide eyes struck a chord deep within Jake's heart. "Are you okay?" he asked, crouching slightly to seem less threatening. She looked up, panic lacing her features. "They were chasing me," she gasped, her voice breaking. I don't know why. But they want something from me." Everyone exchanged wide-eyed glances. Who's chasing you?" Sarah pressed, stepping closer, her tone gentle yet urgent. The girl took a trembling breath, glancing around as if expecting shadows to join them. "I saw something secret and they know. They think I'll tell, but I won't." Jake's stomach dropped. This was bigger than just their own fears. "What did you see?" "Not now." The girl grabbed Jake's arm with surprising strength. "You don't understand. If they find me here, it won't just be me. It'll be all of you." The warning hung in the air, thick with tension, a fresh wave of dread washing over the group. "Take a breath," Jake urged, adopting a more soothing tone now. "We can help you. We need to understand what is going on." But then a sound echoed behind them, the unmistakable snap of a twig. The girl's eyes widened in terror. "They're here." Adrenaline surged through Jake as he turned. The darkness pulsed around them, shapes emerging from the shadows. The threat they had anticipated but had hoped was a mere shadow was real, terrifyingly close. "Run!" he shouted, urgency cleaving through him, but as they bolted back towards the safety of their building, Jake realized this was the point of no return. They had stumbled into something much larger and more dangerous than they ever could have imagined. The trees whispered anxiously around them. What had they just uncovered? And would they survive the truth that lay hidden within the dark? As they sprinted, the adrenaline surged through Jake's veins, heart pounding like a drum against his chest. Each step echoed a desperate urgency that pushed them forward. Behind them, the faint crunch of footsteps didn't just chase them, it threatened everything they held dear: their homes, their futures, their very lives. "Keep moving!" Jake shouted, urgency propelling him into action, the others close behind. Max barked, a fierce sound slicing through the creeping darkness, as if defying the threat looming in the shadows. They dashed toward the safety of the community center, a sanctuary that now felt like both a refuge and a battleground. The girl stumbled, but Jake caught her reflexively, refusing to let her fall. "Stay with us. We can't lose anyone," he urged, determination burning within him. "We need a plan." Sarah gasped just behind him. The sharp edge of panic laced her voice, but Jake could see the intensity in her eyes. She was ready to fight. "Let us bar the doors," Jake suggested, urgency lacing every word. "And gather everyone. We need numbers." They dashed into the community center, musicians of destiny acting out the dance of defiance. Inside, chaos morphed into leadership, warmth turned into strategy. Families huddled, eyes wide with fear but determination hardening in the lines of their faces. "Listen up," Jake called out as he pounded the table for attention. The weight of their shared fear solidified into resilience. "We have to fortify our defenses. They're coming for us, but we're ready to stand our ground." The collective energy shifted from fear to resolve. Someone yelled, "We have tools. Let us barricade the doors." Within seconds, the townsfolk sprang into movement, creating makeshift barriers while whispering urgent strategies about how to protect each other. Amidst the buzzing anticipation, Jake glanced at the girl, her wide eyes darting nervously. "You're safe now," he reassured her, kneeling slightly to meet her gaze. "But tell us everything you saw. We need to understand what threat is approaching." She swallowed hard, fear visibly gripping her throat. "I don't know how much time we have. I saw them. The landlords weren't just discussing evictions. They were planning something bigger, something that could hurt everyone, including you." The atmosphere thickened around them, everyone frozen in collective disbelief. "What do you mean?" Max urged, eyes sharp and alert. "They've been buying up parts of the town for something dark." The girl's voice cracked, but she forged on, determination finding its way through her fear. "I overheard them talking about using the space for shady deals, constructing something that will push everyone out. They want to clear this land, and they'll go to any length to make it happen." Stunned silence enveloped the room, hearts sank. It wasn't just about the homes anymore. It was about the very spirit of their community. Jake felt the urgency crystallize into a powerful resolve. "Then we need to expose them. We can't just be reactive, we have to strike first. We'll gather proof, rally support, and we won't be silenced. Together, we can deter their plans." The room erupted with fervor as everyone began to strategize, fueled by their shared pain. Jake could feel the shift deep within his chest. This was no longer a fight for survival, it was a fight to reclaim everything that made them a community. "Let us gather video footage to document what we can. We'll distribute it. Show the town what they're hiding." Sarah shouted, her voice rising with passion, igniting even more determination in the crowd. Shared messages, social media posts, let us spread awareness. Others called out, determination igniting like fire to kindling. The door behind them rattled ominously, bringing them back to reality. Jake's heart thundered. Stay alert. Get ready. With every control they seized, they fortified their hearts just as much as the barricades. Hope anchored their spirits, tethering them in the storm. When the first solid thud came against the door, it was not fear they felt but collective grit resilience fused through. The foundation of their community. We're not going anywhere. Jake shouted loud enough to drown out the gnashing doubts that filled the air. We stand together, united. This is our home, and they have no power here. The murmurs of agreement tightened into a powerful chorus, unwavering. As the door shook again, buckling under the weight of those outside, they felt invigorated. Then, the door burst open, splintering wood flying through the air, revealing the ghastly figures standing menacingly before them. 50 shadows poured into the room, agents of intimidation. In one swift motion, Jake clenched his fists, stepping forward to face the heaviness of it all, the towering figures standing against the heartbeat of their town. Let us show them they picked the wrong fight. He yelled, voice booming with a fire that ignited the crowd. Together, they surged forward, hearts beat as one, old and young, fierce and protective, each face a testament to what it meant to fight for home. The looming darkness faced a tidal wave of hope, standing against the chilling reminder of what it meant to belong. The stakes had been clear, but now they understood, it was about more than survival, it was about standing tall as one. Let them know this fight is ours. Jake shouted, as voices proclaimed unity in the face of hostility. As they spilled out of their home, hearts thriving against despair, each step solidified a promise, they would not just defend their territory, they would reclaim their future. Jake glanced around, feeling the warmth of resolute faces beside him. No, this was not the end, this was the beginning of an unyielding fight that would echo their story for generations to come. Now, let us show them what we're made of. They shouted, charging forward into the fray. It was their moment, their time to rise, and they embraced every heartbeat, every ounce of strength within them. Jake knew solemnly, together, they would overcome. Together, they would transform their fear into an unshakable force. And as they plunged headfirst into the chaos, he felt invincible, merged with his community. Nothing could stop them now. Join the fight against injustice. If you're inspired by Jake and this powerful journey, you need to subscribe now to stay connected for more stories like this. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep the flame of this community burning bright. Comment below with your thoughts on this epic showdown. Your feelings matter now more than ever. And share instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to spread hope. This is your moment to show true support. Every action counts.